Alright, we're finally back. I was supposed to react to a true crime video today, but for me, this came out yesterday, this announcement with the Lakers, because I'm actually a Lakers fan, and this is the Washington Wizards trade for Russell Westbrook, and Lakers also do get the 2024 second round pick and the 2028 second round pick. I wish they actually got one for this year instead of the 2024 or the 2028 pick, because since we are giving up players here, so we still gonna need to fill out the roster. So Lakers gave up Kuzma, Caldwell-Pope, Montrezl Harrell, who did actually end up deciding to option in his contract yesterday, so he knew he was gonna be part of this trade, and the number 22 first round pick as well, which to me, there's some question marks about it, of course, especially the shooting wise, because of course the big three of the Lakers, they're not the best 3-point shooters in the world. Like Anthony Davis, he's starting to shoot threes, especially like last year. And then Russell Westbrook, we know for sure he's not the best 3-point shooter. LeBron James, he could be a hit or miss. He could kind of be streaky too at the same time. Well, technically that's with all the damn Lakers last year too as well, like Caldwell-Pope. There's can be games where he had no points at all, and some games he had like 4, 7, 8 points. Some of these games, then some games you could have like 16 and go 4 for 8. Some games you went 0 for 4 or something like that. So same thing with Kyle Kuzma. Harrell I do like as a personal player, but then again, like Harrell, I for me personally, he didn't get used correctly with the Lakers on this team last year. And then Frank Vogel didn't really play him as much as well, and he especially did not play in the playoffs. So technically, was Harrell gonna be on this team? No, not really. Even if he optioned out, I don't think. Yeah, we didn't really use him correctly, but he optioned in, so he kind of knew, kind of helped the Lakers as well to make trades too. So to me, at least I could thank Harrell for that, even though he didn't have a great season with the Lakers, but at least him optioning in, kind of helping Lakers make some trades. Caldwell-Pope, he was a hit or miss. Same thing with Kyle Kuzma. To me, like Kyle Kuzma, he had his opportunities last year to even get 20 points, but he did not. Especially like with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, they were out. Kuzma didn't show up at times either. So same thing with Caldwell-Pope. Harrell, there was a month where he did show up for the Lakers when both of those guys were out, or when LeBron James was still there. Harrell was doing pretty solid, but for some reason, yeah, of course, end up getting Drummond, and then Marcus Saul had some of those minutes, so that's why then technically Harrell's minutes kind of got cut. And then in the playoffs, he didn't really play at all, especially against the Suns. He didn't really play at all. So, replacing Harrell, I think it's gonna be easy to replace a center actually. So, I don't think the center is gonna be the issue, but for the Lakers, it's gonna be how they get the shooters, because since they don't have anybody else to trade, they still do kind of have some players to trade. One of the players is technically Horton Tucker. He's a young player. He could be in the sign and trade. Dennis Schroeder is another option they could do as well with the sign and trade. But for me personally, I don't think this is the official trade. I believe there will be another team. Could be a fourth team too as well, because if you add the calculation of the numbers, let's look at Kuzma. Until August the 2nd, I know his contract is going to be 13. Caldwell-Pope is 13. Harrell is 9.7. So 13, that's 26. Harrell, that's 35. And then the pick might be like, what, 2 million here? Or maybe less. Still about what? That's 26, 35. About 37 or 38 million here. So we're still short by 5 or 6 million, because Westbrook makes about 43 or 44 million. So there's going to have to be someone else coming in here. Marcus Saul could still be part of this trade. Horton Tucker could still probably be in this part of this trade. Dennis Schroeder, depend on the sign and trade as well. He could still be part of this trade. That depending on Dennis Schroeder. If there's some really dumb team to give him 20 million and he goes there, then we can't do the sign and trade, but we probably will have to throw in Horton Tucker or maybe Marcus Saul. And if they guaranteed actually Alonzo McKinney's contract too, that'd be only 1.9. Then Marcus Saul makes about 2.7. I think they'd still be short, but be really close. But So me overall, I kind of still do like this trade, even though I kind of worry about the 3-point shooting and stuff like that with Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis because they aren't really 3-point specialists. But without talking about the 3-point shooting, but everything else, Westbrook is overall way better than Dennis Schroeder because when we saw Dennis Schroeder, I was happy that we got Dennis Schroeder. That wasn't a really bad trade. You know, you have to make the. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So it did not work out with Dennis Schroeder, but I kind of like that trade. Sometimes you gotta have to take those risks. Lakers made that risk, but it didn't work out, so I can't really complain about it. Dennis Schroeder. The first thing came like to me like when Dennis Schroeder came here, he wanted to be a starting point guard already. For me, I think he should have earned that. Like he should have come off the bench and then earned that starting technically job. But for me, he's technically just a sixth man. He's not really a starting point guard because he isn't really a good playmaker. He's more of a scoring point guard. So technically, to me, that'd be better to be coming off the bench. And to me, he didn't seem to work really well with Anthony Davis or LeBron James when he was in there with them. So I think this will help out with Westbrook. This will help Anthony Davis for sure because we've seen Russell Westbrook with any of the big mans. He's been pretty good with them. Like even Clint Capella, even Steven Adams as well. So with Russell Westbrook helping AD when technically LeBron James could rest now, that definitely will help. And also last year when LeBron James sat, Lakers couldn't do anything. They always lose the lead, or they couldn't keep a lead, or sometimes they'd be losing a lot as well. They were negative technically when LeBron James actually was sitting. So now we have Russell Westbrook and AD playing with some role players for the actually bench. With our role players, that definitely helped our second unit here. So with Russell Westbrook and hopefully we get some shooters and then AD, that's gonna be really good. There can be a lot of fast breaks for sure with Russell Westbrook now, since that's gonna be it when LeBron James sits. It's gonna be a lot of transition, right? So that definitely will help the Lakers for sure, and that give LeBron James a lot of rest now since our point guards weren't that great of a playmakers. And technically on the 2020 team, technically our point guard was Avery Bradley when we started, but I know he technically was he didn't play in the bubble. And then our starting point guard was technically KCP and Danny Green. So we went with a bigger team, and they weren't guards, but they were shooters. So this time we finally got. This has been a while since we got a pretty solid, like a really good point guard. Our probably this point guard, Westbrook kind of reminds me a little bit Nick Van Exel, because Derek Fisher, he wasn't that athletic as Russell Westbrook, but Derek Fisher, even though he was a good player, he was our clutch 3-point shooter, which Russell Westbrook isn't. So technically, we'll see how this works out, and we'll see what other Lakers will technically make as well, because technically they only have 4 players on the roster right now. So technically it's Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Marc Gasol. So technically that is your team. So I'm guessing they will probably still go with probably maybe 14 players like they did last year. They'll probably sign the 15th player maybe during middle of the season, or when the buyout market happens, maybe even at the trade deadline. We'll see what happens there. They'll still need to sign 10 more players. So for the very minimum, they still have their melee, which is the middle level exception, is like 5.9, I believe. So they definitely are going to need to get some really good shooter and fill out that bench. Most likely they could still bring back Horton Tucker, Alex Cruz, so maybe Markieff Morris. Those guys are probably maybe coming back. Wesley Matthews, I don't want him back, but you might have to bring him back. Ben McLemore, he might end up coming back. I don't think they really used Ben McLemore that much last year, even though he should have gotten some of those minutes, especially against the Phoenix Suns last year, but he did not. Frank Vogel, I'm hoping he'll have a better rotation this year than he did last year. Sometimes he wasn't great at all, so he wasn't like the 2021 season where he had pretty good rotation. He knew when to take out people, but last year wasn't the greatest for his rotation there. Especially because, like, looking at Harrell, he was a 6-man, but they didn't use him correctly as well. So now I'm not too worried about the center spot because you get some centers for really cheap, and you don't really need a center because I hearing that LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they might move positions. So LeBron's gonna be the power forward, and Anthony Davis can be the center, and then you have Westbrook at the point guard. So you're gonna need to get some shooters. Um, we need a two guard. We need a wing player, or technically two if LeBron James is gonna be the four. So we do need to get some wing players. That's one position I always thought Lakers will need, even before this trade happened. They needed to get a wing player because to me, at times they were just too small, especially with Russell Matthews playing the two guard. He was technically too small for some of the other shooting guards. So technically, we need to get the wings, a backup center, maybe a starting center, depending with Marcus Saul. See where I don't want to see Marcus Saul starting. He should be coming off the bench. So we are going to need to get a starting center, depending if Anthony Davis does want to play center. Then you have to get a backup point guard too as well. But then again, with our backup point guard, you can still bring back Alex Caruso, then also Horton Tucker as well. So I'll look at the wings and a starting two guard as well. What else? Backup, starting center. So they got a lot of positions they need to fill out. But if all of them could shoot, that'd be fine because our starting lineup with Russell Westbrook at times, yeah, he's not gonna be shooting. So, we need to get to help our big three for sure. But I can't wait to see how they play. I'm gonna be excited for how they play in the regular season. It might take them a couple games to get adjustment. I know these guys were talking about how they should play and their egos. I think their ego is gonna be checked out of the door. Unlike Dennis Schroeder last year, he just came in and wanted to be a starter. That's the thing that Frank Vogel should have had last year. He should have had that ego. Made Dennis like calm down, dude. You need to come off the bench first. Then if you do well, then you could be starting. But I think we didn't have any of that. But overall, I do like this trade. Yeah, of course, we're gonna be seeing how Lakers fill out this roster, how many shooters they're gonna get in free agency. I think they'll get some, but not a lot of them are gonna be coming for cheap either. So they'd be kind of lucky if they could get any of these. But oh well, I'll see you guys. This can be it for me though. So I'll see you guys next time.